I was about to hit.
Do you need anything else?
Hi, Jay.
Mhm.
You get the hammer, and I get to say hi at the same time. Cool. Oh yeah, AARP magazines. Love it. We're gonna. That's all good, Eric. I gotta say hi to Jay. It's cool. We're gonna talk about something that I think the world looks at backwards. That's like really important to me. And I think it's important on how you view things. And it's essentially, your scars are your credentials to do what we do and to help others, right? And it really comes down to, for me, it's the very things that you think disqualify you are the very things that qualify you. Okay. Um, it's a different way to look at it, right? And it's how to help overcome trauma and victimhood. I've been asked a lot how I've overcome the stuff I've overcome now. And this is one of the ways I've done it. So I want to share this with you guys. Um, so um, here is the lie that we are told by the world and we're supposed to believe. Okay. We think past failures mean you're disqualified. It is literally the opposite. Okay. The truth is, setbacks are proof of growth, and your scars are your credibility. Okay. Let's be honest. We're getting on a plane, right? Do you want a brand new pilot that's just learned how to fly in your jet? Or do you want the guy that's battle tested and been a captain for 30 years and can land the plane on the water like Sully? I don't know about y'all, but I want Sully, right? Like I want the guy that's right. Like I want the guy that's battle tested, right? That applies to every aspect of your life, right? Miller and Seta, right, are both black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? Two of their kids train and teach jiu-jitsu, right? It's what their family has done that since I know them. Literally, the first time I met them was at them working out on a Saturday morning with all their kids. Like the very first time I actually met them at a very hot gym in Central Phoenix when his name was Nathan was teaching. So, but right, like that is there. But what's their credibility now when they go to teach, right? If I want to go learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, do I want to watch YouTube videos or do I want to go learn from people that have trained for 20 years and are black belts? Okay. That's the same here. And here's the deal. You might be saying, well, Trevor, I'm brand new. I don't know anything about insurance. You're correct. That's okay. You can leverage that up with who is at this company. You don't have to know everything. You have people that know everything. Okay. But what you do have is your past failures to show you how your successes can grow. Okay. Like the greatest lie we are told, period, the end, is we tell ourselves, we begin to stack things that didn't work out as evidence that we can't win in the future. I promise if you flip that mindset, if you flip that, you will radically change your life, your business, your family, your relationships, all of it. Okay. Like you will radically change that if you flip that. Okay. Because it's about, right? Like about your credibility. Okay. Like, and what goes through, right? Do we want to be around people that are authentic or inauthentic?
Authentic.
Authentic. Why?
Why? Um,
Trust.
yeah, you're talking to a human.
Right. So let's talk about social media. Okay. Do you trust the person that only posts good stuff? Or do you trust the person that says, hey, this is what we were doing, this is real? Who do you connect with more?
The people that post both the good and the bad.
The
So
person
why
who's
aren't you
real.
doing that for you and your sales when you're talking to people and with your team as you're building? Why aren't you doing that? That's my question to you today. Why are you hiding that? Don't be ashamed of it. Lean into it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Like,
Yeah.
don't lean into it.
Be honest.
So let me ask this, right? And I'm going to use myself as an example because I've worked really hard at this in my life. Because I'm not the same guy I was 10 years ago. Okay. Do you come to this because you trust me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
And am I always good, bad, or ugly, vulnerable, but where I am and what I've been through?
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
How fast do you think your businesses would take off if you started doing that with your clients and with the team you're starting to build? If you really did that,
100%.
if you were
Yes.
right, if you were
Consistently doing it,
really
yeah.
authentic with them and got real,
100%.
right? One of the things, like example, right? I'm going to use people in symmetry today. Why does Jamie Susie have the agency she has? Why does she have that size? Part of it because she's on social media. Her and Corey, I'm very thankful. Jamie and I have become pretty good friends pretty quickly. But she's very transparent. Her and Corey have very narcissistic exes, like real bad. And she talks about it, right? Like from a business standpoint, a marketing team would tell you literally don't do that. Okay. Like that is, well, I can't make her answer you, Katie. That's not my job. I'm not her. Katie, she gets hundreds of DMs a day, hundreds.
Wow.
Like, that's you gotta understand that. Like literally hundreds, right? She has thousands of people in her agency. So, but if you really want her attention, go get on top of a bunch of leaderboards, and I promise she'll notice you. So, the advisory board members are pretty observant here. But do you connect with that because she's authentic, right? Like if you go follow like Scott Schnitzer on there, what do you know about Scott Schnitzer? That man loves Jesus, breakfast and food, and his babies, right?
In the gym.
In the gym, right? See,
Yeah.
like right? Like, but he doesn't, it's not just hey, it's what's authentic, right? Like why Christina's watch agency growing it. She's been very transparent about, hey, I was here on my health. I've worked to get here, right? Like she came out on the call and talked about like, hey, I got to get production going, right? I haven't done a good job personally leading from there, right? She was authentic. She said I failed there, right? So like literally she gets, like I've taught Jim, she literally gets hundreds of messages a day. She physically can't respond to them all. So, but like it's as you go through, like, right? Like there you go, right? Hey, I showed the clip of our meeting, right? Like it's different things, right? That'll do that, but it's there. So why does this matter in sales when you're dealing with people, right? How do we use this to help? Because it builds trust, right? When you have that trust with the clients and you can create that authentic connection, it's going to transform the objections into openings. If you're just diving to say, I dove, they're going to feel that, right? I have people from all over Symmetry, like everybody makes the same thing. They're diving to dive, right? Instead of why they're doing it. Okay. So, like, what changes those type of things? Okay. So, we're gonna like actually like roll to Cam really just dive like off a cliff while he's on. He doesn't have his vest on. So, but yeah, like, right, like where you're looking at that, like, really matters. Okay. So let's talk about storytelling and sales, right? If you're brand new and you're like, I don't have any stories yet. That's why you get on calls like this. You're going to hear stories. You're going to get in office hours. You're going to listen, right?
Right.
But share your imperfections with that client, right? 100%. Like, hey, I've experienced this situation, right? I've been in this boat, right? You've heard stories that people hear of, right? Look at what Sarah shared on stage at conference, right? Imagine if she didn't have that policy for a friend, right? Like my friend, right? That like passed away last year. I had had the conversation with him, right? Like, I don't want the regret of, hey, why didn't you tell me, man? Right? Like, I don't want that. But then when you're with your dean and client, you're there. If you share that with them, and I personally have that story, right? When I lost my original mentor, Dave, right? It was 3 weeks and 5 days, right? Like, he was gone. We didn't have any insurance. It was a disaster for his family, for me and my family. The part you guys don't know is less than 90 days later, we lost Sane, right? Like that was a rough 4 months for me. Like that was rough. But Sane, I made her get her life, like she came to me for money help. She had her life insurance through work at least. It wasn't a crazy amount, but it was there, right? I steal Bender's story about that 27-year-old girl in November that had cancer in March, right? 27 years old. We don't know, right? Like that, Eric, it's there, right? Now you have, right? You heard him talking about on the national call, like what DFL is doing for you. 33 years to 8. 33 years, right? To 8. Amanda just did that. They're going from almost 15 years to 6 years. 6 years. Their house, their cars, their student loans, all of it's gone. And I'm gonna have her like talk about that a little more. Like her husband was like, no way. There's no way. Like I saw it, but guess what she did? She brought him to conference, right? She got to see that it was real. And then he saw us do the illustrations, do all of that. Okay. But you can use that with clients. Hey, you know what? I struggled before I became an agent. Talk about why you became an agent. Talk about whether you've had a family member here with insurance or without. A lot of us have seen both situations, right? I think we can all agree, right? Most of us have seen a situation in our lives where somebody either had it or didn't have it. Share, right? There you go. Had one without. Share those stories, like share that in. So, how's that a ripple effect? For me, right? An act of compassion changed my life. Andrew Jimenez didn't know me. He didn't know my belief was gone and everything we had coming was gone. He didn't know that when I met him, but he had belief in me when I didn't have it, right? You guys have heard me say now, right? I took Brad Smith's belief in this company when he stood on stage in 2024 and closed it down and talked about losing Matt. For those who don't know, Brad is him and his brother are who helped get Switchboard going here. He had a twin brother, not just a brother, a twin brother who was his business partner, and they lost Matt tragically, right? Like I borrowed that belief, right? And in turn, because I did, I was able to let people borrow mine this year, right? Like that's what that does. It goes through. So now what's that do? That ripple now impacts others. So this very terrible, tragic event that really, really messed up Mel and I's life is now a ripple effect to help us radically change other people's lives. I want you to like really think about, right? Your story, right? I want you to like, do you think you have that in your story? If I don't get like participatory, I'll just sit here and shut up. This is interactive.
I can share.
Yes, I have it in my story.
All right.
Go ahead, Amanda.
So basically, I mean, I worked in the claims department. I've talked to the people who have lost loved ones and how they're completely lost about what to do with life. And now I would get to tell them that, yes, they did have coverage. And yes, we're going to pay a claim out. Like I got to see the back end of all of this. And it's really important what we do.
Right? Like think about that. Like like for those that don't know, like Amanda was one of the heads of claims at American Amicable before leaving the dark side, coming to the light side. So I like teasing her with that. That's why I tell Pete all the time. But right, but she saw it. It's not dark side, but it's hey, right. There is also people that are trying to fake claims. Like it's not a lot, but they are there. But most of the time, it's hey, she said it right? Like, so let's talk about that. Okay. What's a time you've doubted yourself in like sales or life? Like, what's a time?
Recently, whenever I first started this, I mean, I'll be real honest. I started this and I thought, oh, this is going to be so easy and it's not going to be anything major. And then I took a complete step away because I was like, oh my gosh, this is major. And I didn't have the importance, I don't think. And then I started doubting myself, like, can I do this? And conference just changed that completely.
Love it. Who else?
I
Stephanie's
doubt,
got
I,
her hand up.
I doubt myself a lot, you know, and I have to look at myself and look in the mirror and say, you know, you are better than you were 90 days ago. You're better than you were 4 years ago. You know, instead of concentrating on where I feel I'm at right now, I need to look at how far I've come from where I was. You know,
For
I'm
sure.
and you know, everybody talks about accidental insurance, and you know, they say that accidents don't run in families, but I've always said I felt like they ran in mine. You know, I've had, you know, a sister that was killed in a car accident. We had a nephew that drowned. Gary's best friend drowned. You know, just on and on and on. So I always, accidental policies are like always part of my when I'm talking with clients and part of my story.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a difference, right? So like, right, like, what do you got, Stephanie?
Well, in the beginning, I was so self-assured that this would be easy breezy, but when you try to contact your warm market and the doubt started setting in, but what pulled me out was actually going to conference, meeting you all, and actually buckling down. And once I got my first client, it just I kind of was able to pick up some type of momentum, knowing that I didn't need to know everything all at once. As long as I took my time and followed what the company had put in place, then that's where I saw, and that's where I sought comfort.
For sure. So, right. So, right. Here's what I want you to write down for yourselves and like share it in chat. Okay. What failure or scar can you reframe as your credential? Right. So, what failure or scar, if you actually reframed it like you should, is a credential and not an actual scar, right? Or a failure. Like what has turned it in is to a credential now, right? Like whether it's something personal, professional, right? Like what can you reframe that way? There you go. Love it. Chargebacks, losing my dad. Yep. Childhood trauma. Yep. Discipline, right? And you see, everybody's in a different place, right? But like, what failure scar can you reframe that way, right? Like, if you start reframing that as a credential, it will radically change your life. Yeah, right? Like how can you use like Sandra, right? Like how can you lose those things, right? And it's there. So it's learning how to reframe that in your brain, right? To say, "Hey, how do we turn that around?" Yeah, I mean, look at right, like Bender, right? Miller's in that boat right now, right? Miller worked at PayPal 20 years, right? Like he's in that same boat. Yeah, like right, like you've mentioned that stuff, right? Like, hey, how do you reframe those as a credential? So, because why are we saying that, right? This is the whole point of this today. Remember this. You are most qualified to help the person you used to be, right? Like, I want you to really think about what I said there. You are most qualified to help the person you used to be, right? I was here and now I'm here. Right? Like where you're coming from. Yeah, like I get it, Katie, right? Katie and I have talked about it, right? Katie and I have gone through similar stuff there. It's horrendous. Like no child should have to go through that. So my goal is to help as many people as they can show you you can overcome it. Okay? Like it really really matters there. You know, like yeah, like thanks, Crystal. Like that, right? Like that's where a lot of people feel that way, right? Being that people pleaser, feeling you're not enough, right? Like how do you take that and let it go forward? Right? Like how do you make that a credential now? So that's the question, right? So you have all this now how is it your credential? Right? How is it your bridge to help your clients with a solution? How is it a bridge to help an agent grow a team? Right? How is it a bridge, to get you to where you want to go? Like that's what you got to ask there. Okay. So this is where we are, right? What have I overcome that qualifies me today? We all just put that down. Now I want your challenge and homework here is write that challenge that you're going to use as a credibility, but I want you to share it with someone. I don't care who you share it with, but I want you to share it with someone that like you're accountable with. Share it with them. Like that's how you reinforce these type of habits is you go in and you'll do that, right? Because again, what? It's how does sobriety. There you go. Okay, that's actually what I was about to bring up. So I went to Al-Anon in high school. Okay, so let me explain what that is for those who don't know. Al-Anon is for kids whose parent or parents or that person in their life is an alcoholic. I had to figure out how to learn some tools to deal with my dad. Like I just had to figure those out. And I was shamed for years by my family to even bring it up because they felt it made them look bad. But if you've struggled, and let's use what Cam brought, right? If someone's been in their life where they've struggled with drugs and alcohol and different things, okay. If they've overcome that and they've had 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever that number is, do you think that helps them be qualified to help someone that doesn't do it, right? To help that person get over. So that's what we want to do here and reshape it for sales and business. Hey, I've seen families in your position that haven't had insurance. I want to make sure you're not one of the families with a GoFundMe. Hey, I've seen what it's like to look at my bank account and be absolutely terrified because it's either empty or negative. And I got to make a sale or I'm not going to be there. Right? Like that. Don't use it as shame, use it as a credential, right? A credential for me is Mel and I didn't have all the money we needed to check into the hotel last year, right? That was a failure or scar for me, but I've reframed it as a credential on what I needed to do to get us to where we wanted to go. Yep. So, yep. Same boat, Emily, right? Like I am the one for my side of the family, whether they choose to do it, but that buck stops with me, right? Like that buck does not run any further downhill. I am in that boat. It's there. So, right. So how do you make that your credential now? You do that by helping as many people as you can, whether it is personally or professionally. Okay. Right. And everybody's level of stuff is different, right? Like Mel grew up so different from the way some of us grew up, right? Like it's not funny, but it's just east from west, right? Like they're just their parents were that way, thankfully, right? Like so, like as you go through, right? What will help you is here's the tools to do it. Okay, is I'm going to type this in here so you can see it. So what you're doing is you have the scar, right? It goes to the lesson, and then you take the value from it. That equals a credential, right? Oops, spelled like a 3-year-old. Right? So, right, the scar, what is, write down, hey, this is the scar. How does it turn into the lesson? What's the value? The scar could be, I can't set an appointment. I've made so many phone calls and I can't set an appointment. Okay. What's the lesson? Well, there's thousands of people here setting appointments every day. And the value. Well, I made the dials. I just got to work on being better. And then what turns in the credential? I learned how to overcome that. Right. Well, Netta talks about, right. And I personally can't wrap my brain around this. She had to take paper clips and move one to another jar just to make calls because she's so terrified to pick up the phone. I don't know how to relate to that. I just don't. Just being transparent. I can't wrap my head around it, but I can empathize with it, right? I can empathize with, hey, she had a weight on her that she had to take from a scar, right? There you go. Dialing. That's why we're doing this. So, Crystal, you got to reshape your brain, okay? You have. Why we talk about mindset here so much is because, like, it's the thing that matters the most, okay? It just matters the most in sales because it matters for there, right? This is how I want you to reframe this, okay? Do you want to ask another adult human being permission to take time off to go do things with your friends or family or work? Do you want to do that? What is more scary? Asking that or picking up the phone and helping someone make sure their family's protected when they die? What's more scary? I don't know what's, I tell me, I know what's more scary. Having to ask some human being permission to do stuff. Right? I'm a grown person and I got to get permission from you to show up late. I got to get permission from you to go see the kids thing. I got to get permission from you to go take time off. Pardon my French, but kiss my ass. Like that's hard. That's what's hard. That's what's scary. That should terrify you. Literally, the weight of that should terrify you to make the phone feel like a feather off a bird. Right? I love it, Trace, right? Like, that is great. Right? Had permit, right? There. I'll tell you, this was so crazy. So, like, one of my, in my 20s, one of my 27 million jobs I was doing as I was working my way out of stuff. I'm really good with cars and mechanics. I was doing some side work as some mechanic stuff. These guys would like call me when I would go to like get there to fix the thing, check on me every 15 minutes to slow me down and then call me on the way back, like micromanaging me, right? And like that is hard, right? But you've let your brain tell you calling someone you've never met in your life is hard. That's not hard. It's not hard. It's literally done. Yeah, absolutely. Right? Like it's there. So, right? Like that's where you got to reshape that, okay? So take that side of it, right? On how you're going to work that through and let it like go over, okay? Because that's going to make like a huge difference. Right? So, and then the other homework you can do is now take this and like physically write a story you're going to use either on a sales call or a recruiting call. Okay? So sit down and take that story now and say, hey, type it out on your phone if you're like me and you don't want paper, write it out if you're like Walnetta and want to kill a lot of trees. She's like, no, I'm converting.
I have totally converted, and I even talked to Lissy about converting. I am here literally right now with my iPad Pro typing my notes as you're talking.
I'm so proud of you.
I mean, that's a win, right?
That's a massive win.
I'm still killing paper and I'm proud of it.
Yeah. But it's okay, right? Like, but like that. We were, we're looking at some different software platforms for stuff we were doing today, and they're like, having a convo with them, and they're like, hey, if you're talking to one of these big legacy companies, we're not the company for you, right? Like it's that, guys, we're an insurtech company, right? Like I'm gonna say this on this side, right? We've won the insurtech awards, and you want to come in and tell them they gotta like not use funnel and not print out paper, and you gotta print out your leads. What are you doing? It's 2025. Like use that leverage and go from there. Okay. So like as you go through, like write that down. Okay. If you do that, like it will help you so much, because that's what I've done. Right. Like, and then learn how to like empathize with clients on their struggles because you've lived it. Right. Don't be scared to share with clients. Hey, I didn't know how to do this. What I get to say now is when I'm talking about a few of the different companies, I'm gonna say, man, I got a policy with them. Right? They're like, what? I'm like, I'll show you a copy of it. Like me and my wife have a policy with this company. I have access to a gazillion companies. I can have a policy with anybody I want. I have this policy. That proof will show it. Okay. So let's talk about like back to this. Okay. So how does your imperfection now connect you to others? How's it do it?
Because
Relatability.
nobody's
Relatability for
perfect.
sure. Flush that out for me.
Nobody's
No.
perfect.
Right.
What do
But
you mean?
like, yeah, like flush it out. Like
It
walk through
shows
that.
vulnerability.
Right. Back to what we started with. Right. You guys circled it back without realizing it. Right. Again, what do we connect with? Vulnerability, authenticity. Right. That's what we connect with. We don't connect with the people that keep their guard up and don't want to let us in and there. I don't know Jacob Pogue very well. I've only talked to him like short conversations a couple times now, right? But I know what kind of person he is based upon how his team and his leaders describe him. And Jacob is open and vulnerable and transparent and authentic, right? I know that based upon there, right? Like, do those people say that about you, right? So how do you reframe what we're talking about to put you in that situation? Tough one, huh? It's a lot to think about. I know it's a heavy question, but I really like that, right? So like think of it this way. What do you tell yourself in that moment of doubt? What do you have to pull out when you're in that moment of doubt to say, like, yeah, like this is what I'm going to use to get me over that doubt? Your mission statement, love it, right? Me too. The things I've done much harder, right? Accountability partners, absolutely, right? Like, you got to have that. Right. So, what did you tell yourself in that moment of the doubt, right? We're talking about that. So now, uh, it's not even no smarter. There's a lot dumber people that have made a lot more money. So,
I was trying to be nice.
I'll say it. I don't have a problem. Oh my gosh, right? Like, again, like back to if the phone's heavy, that's my thing. Just think about, put your mind, take 2 minutes. So, I'm going to share with you something I do that I've talked a little bit about here and there. It's kind of morbid to some people, but it helps me reframe. If I'm ever really struggling in a tough spot, okay, I literally imagine what I would do, like how would I feel if Mel wasn't around. And I let my brain go to like a crazy spot for like 2 minutes. Most of the time it makes me cry. Like I'll just sit there and start crying if I think about it. Right. And then I say, okay, but she's not. And then I show gratitude. She is here. She is right by my side. She is, when it's there. That's why this place is so special. Because, right, this place is trying to teach us how to become leaders. And it's not, none of us are held back on how quick or how slow that is. Yeah. Right. You got that, right? So you've faced that. So what's harder there, Crystal? Picking up the phone to help families or not being able to be there for your boys? It's a rhetorical question. I know the answer, right? But so think about it that way. Have you ever framed it that way before? Have you ever thought about like framing it like that?
No, but I need to.
There you go. So looking back, what was true and what was a lie in that self-talk?
With having anxiety around dialing,
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I've always told myself I'm an anxious person. So I just accepted that that's just who I was, that's just me. And maybe it's just something I can't do. But
So that's the lie.
that's the lie.
Right? We can agree that's the lie in the self-talk, right?
Yes.
So it is right. So that's the lie. So what's actually true about you, Crystal? Is it
That
true
I'm capable.
that you are capable? That
That I'm a survivor, I'm a fighter, and I've been through way worse and come out the other side. So
right. So right. So now you're starting to see how to reframe that, right? How to really take that. And it is absolutely Trace. Like I just can't. You will see as you get to know me, buddy. I mean, there is nothing more true in your life than that. Your brain doesn't really recognize the difference between something that happened and something you tell yourself happened. It's 97% accurate. So, right? Yeah, absolutely, right? What's more scary, right? Like, what was more scary? Like, you know what scared me? I was going to have to call Miller and Seta and say, hey, we lost everything. We got to come stay with you guys. That's scary, right? That was scary to me, right? Like, that scares, right? That scares the shit out of me, right? So, like, don't let the lie that I couldn't do it again overcome it, right? So for me, last year it was like, I don't know if I can do this again. I don't know if I have it in me to like rebuild a whole nother business again. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know if I don't know if I want to do it. I don't know. Like, I mean, I was in my brain was in one of the worst spots it's like ever was in its life. Right. But that was the lie it was telling me. So then it's, how did you push through that moment or what stopped you? Because you know what happens here a lot? Most people choose to let it stop them and they leave. That's why they have so many people come and go here.
Hey, Trev, will you share a little bit about like where you were in that moment? Like for the people that don't know, will you just briefly share like what happened to you with that business last year?
Yeah, so for the few that are on here that don't know, you know, Mel and I started in 2015, moved down to the valley, um, uh, started building a very successful business, partnered in with a mentor, end of 2016. Um, Dave gets stage 4 cancer out of nowhere, dies in 3 weeks and 21 days. And Sane dies 3 months later and from pancreatic cancer, and it was a mess. And you know, I was kind of doing my own thing. I had a general contractor at that point that I did a lot of business with that built really big, you know, 10, 20, $30 million houses in Phoenix. I started partnering my business in with them. I said, I'm gonna try to get this going without Dave. I hated working with them. It was awful. And then the guy that was doing my, you know, and we're doing $1.5 million, $2 million as a business at this point. The guy that was doing all my hardscaping, right? Same was doing as much as he can on his own. We made the decision to come together and we blew it up. We took that business to $10 million a year. We were in a really good spot financially, but we had no time. Worked 80 hours a week, completely broken. We ordered DoorDash 6 days a week. You know, on vacation, I worked 3 or 4 hours a day. Right. I was in that bottom left corner of the box. I might have owned the business, but that I owned a job. And we left in 22, parted ways. And that's when Mel and I started traveling. I was doing some hobby stuff on mine and came here to sell. And then in July of last year, started getting messages, and long story short, the guy basically bankrupted the company in 18 months. And all the money we had, right? I'd like wrote like checks into that company to fund it as we were going, right? Like there was times, right? I wrote $30,000 checks to cover payroll for a week, you know, as we were waiting on cash flow for jobs, you know, things like that. We had a lot of money in the company. And we were owed a lot of money, and long story short, it's gone, and there's nothing I can do to get it back. Like you can't get blood from a turnip. So all that money was gone, and for the first time in my life, I couldn't suck myself out, right? And the lie was, I was telling myself was, I don't think I can do it again. I don't think I have it in me to do it again. I don't want to do it again. That was my lie, right? That was my lie. I was telling myself, you know, and I could have let myself go down. Well, you're a victim. It happened. And I've just overcome so much in my life that it was there. And it was, you know, me getting to a live symmetry event where, you know, most of you know that story. I met Andrew Jimenez. He's an advisory board member of 130 here. And, you know, watched a 29-year-old man pour into me. And, you know, just, you know, then I got to conference and figured it out. But that's, you know, it's, you can't do that, right? So, because now this is the question, right? So if I could coach my past self in that moment, what would I say? Right? Like that's the question I try to ask myself, right? Hey, now let's go back. What would I say in that situation? I would say it's not as bad as you think. And you're stronger than you really believe, and you can overcome this. Like that's what I tell myself. Like, and you can do it faster. So, right. So like, then you say like, how does that experience make you stronger or more empathetic with clients? I know what it's like, man. Like, I just know what it's like to have friends and family with insurance, without insurance. I would say I'm above average on empathy, because I've been in a lot of different shoes in my life. I've been very well off financially. I've been very broke financially. I've, you know, I've dealt with a lot of trauma. I've overcome it. So, you know, so then it comes down to like persistence, right? So the question like I ask is, what mistake taught you the most about persistence? Right? Like the mistake was I should have never partnered into business with him to begin with. Like that was that was really the mistake. The next mistake was not exiting 2 years earlier when we wanted to. Right? So what was the immediate consequence of that mistake? I was having to do a lot of the work and run more than I wanted to at a rate we were growing. And then how did it feel to keep going when it would have been easier to quit? That part felt good. I showed up, right? So how does that relate here now? How does it feel now that I kept going and I didn't quit? Freaking awesome. Like I'm really, you know, now I can sit here today and be like, man, I'm glad that other shit didn't work out. My life kind of rocks. Like, like I love the humans that are in my life right now. Mel and I were talking about that recently. Right? Yeah, that's you just can't do that for sure. So, right? So right? It was easier to quit at that point. It was easier for me to walk away from symmetry, right? Like it was easier there. So what new habit or discipline was born from that feature? I am going to associate my face off. I am going to, Sarah says association is worth $1 million. It's worth way more. It is worth, there's literally not a dollar amount you can put to it. So what discipline was born? I go to a symmetry event every month. As long as there's one available and happening and I can physically get to it, like it'll be there. Like I'm like, it's coming. I got one for September. I got AO Academy. Great. October, November, I'll be at boot camps, right? And then I got to get January, February, right? I got to get December, January. Then I'll have February. We'll have a line, go from there. So next week, who announced it's next week?
So it was on the symmetry page yesterday. It was the Floyds. Yeah, and when I looked and it said September 11th and it's in the Woodlands. Hold on, I'll see if I can find
Which is weird because that's when the Dallas boot camp is going. So yeah, that's weird. But that's not like our big group. I mean, it's cool,
Yeah.
go.
It's
but
not
it won't-
Corbridge. It's not the one at Corbridge, no.
Yeah. It won't be a big one. So, but
Okay.
what happened did it do, right? So how's that mistake shaped the way you prepare today? One, I got one business partner. It's that Polynesian woman sitting a few feet from me. That's it. Period. The end. Right? While we're in business together with everybody here that's on like our team, we're not like your success or failure isn't dependent upon me. Right? So we're not partners in that success. So, but we are, right? And then how can I use that a story to show resilience with a client? Right? I use that story to say, hey, right, like I know what it's like to be here. I know what it's like to be financially in that situation and work on overcoming it. Okay. So how do we turn scars into strengths, right? What is the hardest part about living through some of that? Exactly, that is the trauma it puts on your brain because your brain defaults to that, right? How many people here have ever just been like randomly had a thought that was so bad you were like, where on earth in my mind, soul, and body did that thought come from? Anybody have? I mean, I have, right? Anybody else had that thought where you're like, what is wrong with my brain? Right? Where you're like, you got to like etch a sketch that sucker out right away, right? The problem is people don't do that, right? They don't overcome it. They don't, right? Get in there. So now I want you to write down what character trait, right? Whatever that trauma we talked about earlier, that scar earlier, what did it develop in you? Discipline, empathy, patience, courage, heroics, right? Write down for that and look at it, okay? And how are you carrying that scar into your sales today? Is it a weight dragging you down, right? Or is it a rocket ship lifting you up? Right? How are you taking that into building your business and helping families? Okay. And how could that become a core part of your personal brand? Right? Like I was shamed for years about sharing my story from my family because they felt it makes them look bad. Because frankly, a little bit of it does, just being honest. Like, but it's just the truth, right? Like it's just the truth to what happened. So how is that a core part of personal brand? I am so happy that I chose to start sharing where I've come from, and what I've gone through. Because at conference, I got to talk to a couple people that have dealt with the things I've dealt with, right? Dealt with the father or someone in their life killing themselves, dealt with the physical and sexual abuse, and walk up to me and say, I was really struggling with it. And like, thank you for sharing. Like that connection, knowing that you can overcome it's there. So that is part of my brand. My brand is I can show you how to overcome it. Right. I'm not Dylan. Right. I just didn't come in and write $1.5 million on my own pen. I don't want to be Dylan. I want to be me. I like me. Right. I didn't always like me. Right. My 20s, I didn't like me very much at all. So like, and you don't know the one person you're going to share that story with that it's going to radically change your life. What if that story you share with that person is the next Sarah Reineke, is the next Edward Pipchett, is the next Jamie Susie, right? Is the next Brad Smith, right? Is the next Marshall Whalen. right? Like, what if that story, right, like, is supposed to be there? Okay. So then think about it from a client side, right? Make sure your empathy doesn't become sympathy. That's super important, right? Can't have it be both. How do you relate and get to that pain point for them and get them to a solution? How do you use your language to help them get there? And have you really learned how to use empathy to get more sales? Because when you do that, you'll get it. Okay. So, how does your imperfection connect you to others? Okay. This is my challenge to you today. What is your imperfections you're trying to hide? Why are you trying to hide them? It's not bad to use sympathy, but you want to use empathy, Trace. And there's a difference. Sympathy will allow you to say, it's okay that you don't have coverage. Like, your family will be all right. Empathy is, I feel sorry for you that you're not going to make sure you and your family are protected, and I'm here to help you when you're ready. Do you see the difference in that?
Totally,
So,
yeah.
right? Right? That's really the difference on how you want to use empathy over sympathy. So, right? But let's go back to that. What imperfections are you trying to hide, and why? Have you shared one recently openly with a client or a friend or your partner, right? How does your imperfections make you more trustworthy? Who do you trust more? The person with a million imperfections or the person with none? It's the person with a million. Because we all have them, right? We know who's hiding it. You know who in this company is hiding those, and you'll see them disappear, right? So that's like what I want to do there. So I got some like growth questions to finish with, but I will let Mrs. T talk as she has her hand raised.
Yeah, it just made me think about, like, not all of us will have the really strong moments in our lives that are kind of impactful, like Trevor did, or like, those who spoke in the chat, like we talked about, like I had a different childhood and way I was raised, but they are scars, right? They are scars. And when scars are healed over, you have scar tissue. And you may not know they're scars, right? You may not know like what you have could have impacted you. But we all know what paper cuts feel like, right? We all know, like, a little paper cut can be like the littlest thing, but then we all remember that pain. And when we touch on that pain, we don't ever want that ever again. So you do whatever you can not to get that paper cut again. So when you're talking about trying to empathize with the salesperson, you may not have like such a really strong story like Trevor, with the whole abuse and suicide, like something that extreme. Just touch on something that was like a paper cut. It was a pain. And when you have pain, you have kind of scars. So when you have pain, you do everything in your body not to experience that again. So when you're looking for stories to kind of relate to people and be vulnerable about, just find that paper cut. Find that moment that kind of stayed with you and that you can like tell others about. Just made me think about it.
Yeah, so like here are the questions, like growth questions to end with, is we're like up on time. Okay. What do you want your future self to thank you for? Right? Ask yourself, what do I want my future self to thank me for? Right? Like, Katie is going to be able to have a cool story how she rehabbed really hard to get to conference. Right? Like, that's an overcoming story of one. Okay. Right? Where do you still feel unqualified? And how could that be your next credential? Right? How do you feel unqualified where that's going to be your next credential? So this is the part I really want you to think about. What habits or scars are you currently building that will qualify you for tomorrow, right? Think about scar tissue, right? It builds up over time and it makes it really, really tough. That's dialing. You build that scar tissue up. You've been told no more times than everybody else. It's scar tissue. It makes you tougher. Okay. If you could fast forward 5 years, how would today's struggles be your strength? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself in a year how today's struggles could be your strength. And most importantly, who in your life will benefit from you not giving up today? You only got to not give up today. You don't got to not give up tomorrow. You don't got to not give up next week. You don't have to not give up yesterday. We got by it. Who in your life will benefit from you just not giving up today? How many people can you impact radically in your lifetime if you just don't give up today? Right? There you go. So I know that was a little deeper today, but it's been on my heart a little bit and wanted to share that. And I hope it helps.
It was needed. Thank you, buddy.
Anybody got anything they want to end with?
Appreciate you, Trevor.
I didn't even see Linda sneak in here.
I did. I snuck in late. I was like, I'm packing and moving. So, but
Oh,
I
are
was
we
like,
finally
just
moving
I
into
was
the
listening
condo?
now.